Hey, what's up? It is Sybert and...
Sign-ups again.
Yes, here in a very special game. This is going to be Command & Conquer 4, which means that if you don't like this game, please just go away and leave the rest of us in peace.
What he
Anyways.
said. Except 50 times over.
And if we're lucky, Synapse will not go on a 15-minute rant. Anyways, we are going to be seeing, of course, a classic GDI versus not action because... mirror matchups and CNC4. But anyways, we are going to be having TwiiSTeD Berserker Thunder achievement accomplished and Enigma on the Nod team, and on the GDI side, we are going to be having Cheetah, MurderOmega, Fusty, Zebra, and ZodiacHeadlock. And we do have the GDI team and the Nod team both grabbing some Tiberium, getting that tech advantage. And Synapse, I'm going to let you kind of lead in some cases and talk about stuff because, you know, I don't play enough CNC4.
Yeah, because you're too busy with your college and you're not making videos and stuff. And there is no player called Achievement Unlocked. I did that to wind you up. But yes, okay, so the Nod have grabbed their blue Tiberium spike just about. GDI are trying to stop them, but it looks like they're going to get it. So that's going to give them a good tech advantage. Looks like GDI also got their blue, so both sides actually equal on Tiberium. This isn't just a game about capturing nodes. At first value, it looks like it's domination. It's all about the flags, isn't it? Not really.
Yes, and for those of you who do not know, Tiberium is not resources in the same sense as it was in the other games. Why don't you go ahead and kind of explain what Tiberium does in this game, Synapse?
Okay, there is a resource. It's time. Time is in every game. So that's a big resource. Tiberium in this one is research points. So green gives you 1, blue gives you 2. They kept that blue-green thing going. So obviously green is more frequent, and speaking of that, GDI just grabs 2 lots of green, and GDI, I just believe, blew 1 up. The thing about Tiberium is you can either capture it and bring it back to your drop zones for tech points, which gives you tech stuff.
Allows you to tech up to tier 2, tier 3.
Or unit upgrades. Or you can explode it into a big ion storm that causes kooky, crazy havoc and blows up crawlers and stuff.
Which, so it's only blue TIB that you can explode, right?
Nope, both.
Both?
I'm not sure if there's a difference between the damage, but pretty much blowing either of them up is bad news if there's a crawler right there. And I believe it looks like the corners of the map are basically where all of the action is. We've got 2 nodes that have been completely untouched. But GDI are just ahead at the moment, I believe, in terms of nodes captured.
And while Tiberium and also research points are very important, they are not what actually wins you the game. If you look up at the top, the kind of UI going on at the top with GDI at 184 points and Nod at just over 200, we are going to be seeing those bars slowly fill up as the game progresses, and whichever team reaches whatever the limit was, probably like, what, 2,000, 2,500? Here.
I think the lowest limit is 2,000, the highest is 4,000. I usually play with 4,000. But no, thing of interest, it's not just the domination points that give you the points. Killing units and capturing TIB also matters. So killing crawlers gives you 50 points. Which doesn't sound like much, but it really does.
Those of you who are unfamiliar with it, you can probably see, or you have seen at some point, as you just saw, +6 right there. That means that the Nod team just got 6 points added to their score for killing that unit. Various units, so tier 1 units are going to give you much lower scores, +3, and higher up units give you up to +50, as he said with the
you can see a lot of contention over the bottom left.
Yeah, that's actually where I've been kind of focused part of this time.
I'm pretty sure it's 1 on 2 here. I'm not entirely sure, though.
Yeah, we got 1 Nod guy, and it does look like, yeah, 2 GDI crawlers.
Nod coming in with Venoms.
So Nod actually doing a pretty good job. GDI is slowly crawling its way back, but the Nod guy actually seems to have pretty good control, pretty good micro in keeping that Tiberium just, and he actually grabbed it again, that blue TIB, keeping it from the GDI hands and actually reclaiming it time and time again.
If GDI got their hands on that and managed to hold it long enough to detonate, that would kill GDI crawlers, but more importantly, it would deny Nod that resource.
Yeah, and sometimes that's something that you have to think about is, do you want to try and claim this resource for yourself, or do you want to stick it to your enemy, blow it up, cause some damage, and see if you can get ahead that way?
Pretty much. Sometimes it's best just to take a gamble and deny your enemy the tech advantage, because if they get tier 3 out first, it's not game over, because you can beat tier 3 with tier 1, you just have to be smart about it.
And for those of you watching the video and not just listening, you just saw the tier 2 upgrade get purchased by zebrastripes. So if you ever see that going on, that is what it looks like. Kind of looks like a captain. Well, for the American Army, I don't know about other nations, and also Cheetah just bought the tier 2 upgrade as well. Kind of looks like a captain insignia.
Pretty much. So the GDI crawler upgrades work slightly different to the Nod ones. In this game, the counter system is completely different. The GDI upgrade, tier 2 upgrade on the offensive crawler gives it a big cannon, which means it's going to be really good against the tanks, which is what it's up against right now in terms of zebrastripes. Berserker's crawler, when upgraded, gives it a rocket pod, which means it's going to be good against stuff like orcas. Not so good against these hunter tanks, which are about to destroy it.
Where in the world are you looking?
Node 3, middle of the map.
Okay, so here is zebrastripes that he was talking about, and there are the hunters that he was also talking about. And so as you can see, they're shooting at the nodes, which that will do a little bit of additional damage and allow GDI to capture node number whatever this is. It'll allow him to capture that node number 5 a little bit faster.
Yeah.
And one crawler just went down right there next to node 5, giving the GDI giving GDI a slight point boost.
And yeah, TwiiSTeD, is that TwiiSTED's or?
Not sure where you're looking.
Was that TwiiSTED's crawler who went down?
I really have no idea. But it is going to be no Enigma's crawler, I do believe, just went down. It was a Nod crawler. But Nod doing a pretty good job, staying pretty close. They were ahead in the points, but GDI been climbing up, and now ranging roughly 100 points ahead of Nod. Actually a little bit more, but roughly 100. And Tiberium going down, and as you can see, just a Bulldog sitting here waiting for that Tiberium. So whatever GDI player controls that Bulldog, he's camping it there, getting it, and then as you can see, he's staying on top of that micro and making sure he's grabbing the Tiberium and running the tech back, because as we said, that does buy you tier 2, tier 3, but also just unit upgrades for increased firepower, increased speed, increased defense, all of that kind of stuff. And Berserker looks like he's about to lose his crawler. He's trying to run it away right past his allies' count crawler to try and take some of that damage, but doesn't end up working out for him.
I mean, the big thing is with tech, what are you gonna do at the start? Are you gonna risk it? And I was completely wrong about the Nod crawler upgrade. Sorry, it does give it a laser, not a rocket pod. But yeah, at the start of the game, what do you want to do with your Tiberium? Do you want to go straight for the tech and get the stealth tanks and get the Leviathans and get all the really, really cool stuff? Or do you want to upgrade your slightly lower end tech and have a bit of advantage in the early game? It's a bit of a risk reward. And it looks like GDI for the most part went straight for the tech.
Yeah, they're getting up those tier 2 units and structures, and also kind of puppet guarding this blue Tiberium, and then as you can see, the engineer going to grab it right away, and a little group of engineers are going to head off to probably this drop zone over here so that they can easily cap those 2 extra resource points, or rather technology points.
That's another big thing worth making a note of. In stuff like Red Alert 3, neutral structures weren't a big deal. Let's face it, observation posts were mostly ignored. Garages, people would captain.
When they were so
oil depths
awesome.
were the most important one. In this game, you'd be an idiot to ignore any sort of neutral structure. Maybe forgotten buildings aren't so important, but the bonuses these ones give are just too important to miss.
Yeah, and as you may have seen, he was able to, whatever GDI player that was able to run the crystal over here versus having to run it all the way back home. So that is a huge advantage in that they could grab that Tib crystal and then run their units right back into the battle. And as you can see, engineers healing stuff up. Healing and repairing is a huge part of CNC4 versus like the other games where repairing was kind of nice, but basically it was just base structures that did it. And, you know, if you got to heal up some units, it was all right, but it wasn't a big deal.
It's pretty much just throw as many things in there as possible, like the service depot from the old CNC games. We don't see that anymore. It's because repairing isn't a big deal. In this game, it's crucial.
Yeah, and a lot of times, I know when I was playing in the, oh man, massive amounts of damage. I'm not sure what exact weapon just got fired there, but we did have a massive amount of engineers just get taken out. But units do get taken out pretty quickly, but they also build very, very quickly. And it's one of the new game mechanics introduced in CNC4.
Pretty much, it's a bit different from the way the old games work. It's not necessarily a terrible thing, but it's just a different playstyle.
Yeah, and a lot of people do, you know, say that they ruined CNC and all that stuff. But, you know, you have to take it where you can get it. And a lot of people don't like the story, but then if you don't like the story, don't play the story. Just play the skirmish, enjoy the game mechanics.
One thing to be said, this is basically what happened to CNC Arena, and this is what CNC Arena was going to play like, so...
Whoa, we don't know that for sure.
Most likely.
But yeah, I mean, if you just imagine this, like you separate it from the campaign and imagine this as an online only, maybe not a full-fledged CNC game, but a spin-off, and it makes so much sense.
Was originally meant to be like its own isolated thing, like the new free-to-play game is. I mean, people saying like they've cancelled Gens 2. To be honest, they haven't. It's basically just rebranded Generals 2.
Yeah,
it's GLA, it's Europe, it's Generals 2. It just looks, it's just got a different title. It's Generals 2.
Yeah, they should have just said, like, Command & Conquer Generals 2, and Command & Conquer would be the new platform, and the first game on the platform, Generals 2. That's effectively what it is, but nobody's saying that.
Back to the game.
Okay, yeah. We got a little bit sidetracked there. Trying not to get too ranty, but we do want to, you know, mention some important pointers.
It's hard, and if you're still watching by this point, well done. You have my respect in every way.
Which is a pretty dangerous thing to say. And as you can see, it was, I believe, a speed upgrade was just purchased. Yes, that speed boost, which increases the speed of a lot of different units. I'm not sure, and another
You can click on the units and take a look at what upgrades they can get. Notably, engineers get a speed boost as well.
Yeah, and as we just saw, a range boost for those engineers. So as you can see, every time you buy an upgrade, it's a pretty big deal. You can see how many units it affects just in that very second. And you see, oh, wow, I just upgraded like 20 units by buying one upgrade. And again, well, Mammoth Tank on the battlefield. Look at that delightful Mammoth Tank right up in there. But you can see, okay, so Tiberium points you can get, or technology points. You can get, you know, your tier 2, tier 3, but also, like we just saw, you can also get those mass upgrades. And once again, both of these teams, at least in the shorter distance, the green Tiberium crystals, they're both doing a pretty good job of staying on top of the capturing of it, which is really the biggest thing that separates the amateurs from the pros.
Pretty much, you'll just see a lot of people, on the extreme side, you'll see the lowest of the low-level players kind of just camping back in their spawn, just playing it like they've got a base, which it doesn't really work. You'll see with like these probably one of the higher-end matches, the scores are really close. They're both on pretty much an equal power in terms of Tiberium. They're both using upgrades to support powers really, really well. Like you can see Conyard's getting EMP'd, left, right, and centre. You can see repair units micromanaged perfectly, upgrades going off all around, support buffs. And you notice there's not a specific amount of spam from any given player. I mean, Orcas being the exception, and engineers.
Oh, and we just witnessed a blue Tiberium crystal get destroyed. A pretty cool animation. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot around it to get destroyed with it. But as you saw, there was a... Oh, shoot, I don't remember what it was called. But it's like the mobile MRLS, whatever the CNC4 version of that unit is. It had grabbed, if you noticed, it was actually painted red, so it had been hijacked by a NOD player, and then they had grabbed the blue Tib crystal and detonated it before the GDI players could actually grab it. So it's just little things like that that can make such a big difference, and even the NOD players running a couple of Scorpion tanks or Avenger tanks to the other side of the map and grabbing, or at least trying to grab, that Tiberium.
I'm just going to cut you short here. If you take a look at the bottom, the blue uplink, you can see an ion cannon center.
Oh, and over here, and we have a cyborg commando shooting it down.
Maybe a good idea to talk about that. I'm a little bit behind you because of the difference, but Superweapons in this game are much more tactical. Like in the early games, the ion cannon was a tactical weapon, where the nuclear bomb was just a let's point in this direction, everything will die. It's a case of each superweapon has a different number of levels. It takes more time to charge the later levels. The later levels do more damage, last for longer, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, so and I just caught the ion cannon firing.
Yeah, you can either wait around for so-and-so minutes to fire a fully charged blast and do a lot of damage and EMP and corrosive stuff and do all that fancy stuff, or you can fire it prematurely and be a deterrent, because it'll still EMP things, I'm pretty sure, if it's an ion cannon.
I do not believe so. Either that or it has a very small radius, but that thing basically did no damage. But also, because of that, it was probably not charged up very much. So you get a fairly precise weapon, but again, it depends. Do you want to wait longer and, you know, wait to do more damage, or do you want to do damage right here, right now, and try and save or kill something?
Pretty much, it's just something you got to make on the spur. You can't really just decide beforehand whether you're going to wait or not. If you need to use that thing, you need to use it.
Yeah, and hopefully, you know, maybe it's charged enough to really make a difference. And as you can see, we have this battle in the middle, kind of over by Node 5, actually right next to it, and we just had mass GDI engineers repairing a turret, and then we had NOD attacking it, and you could just see how important the, and actually not hijacking another Mastodon, but, you could see how important those engineers are and how important repairing stuff is, as that turret was able to hold its ground far, far longer than it would have otherwise been. And we do have that Nod Mastodon hijacking a GDI Mastodon and being repaired up. It is fully epic status and taken down, or at least trying to take down some MCVs, but they're getting insta-repaired by all of these mass engineers.
One thing to note, Nod Cyborg Commando is just past Node 2. I don't know if it's still there on your screen, but it's there, it's stealth, it's not in fire mode, and it's capturing that second hub.
Yeah, there it is right over there, and it has fully capped that second hub, which means that, of course, Nod now has a slight hub advantage, as they do control 3 versus the 2 that GDI has.
Pretty much, and I don't know if you can see this Hunter tank at Node 2, or whether it's gone by the time you're watching this.
Yeah.
It's just attacking that node, it's not getting very far.
Yeah, it's trying to do some damage to recap that node a little bit faster, but with the Nod Commando there, it will not be able to. And once again, that ion cannon firing for a complete miss. And actually, can they stop it in mid-fire?
No, it's basically just do or die. But the thing about the ion cannon is it's... Obviously you can see it beforehand, but I think it's got a bigger area, maybe, I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, than the Nod version. But it does EMP at its later level, so if you can catch up a crawler in that, you can do a lot of damage to it, you can EMP it, and you can take it down. And again, it's a good deterrent as well, because you don't want to be walking into an EMP.
No. EMPs work pretty similar, and also lots of green Tiberium cores spread all throughout the map, which, as far as I know, those are all unit veterancy. Maybe they also... Do they also do damage boosters, kind of like Red Alert 2, or are they just veterancy?
It's veterancy, basically. The blue ones give us sort of like a weapon upgrade, so like you'll see that Mammoth tank has like sort of square cannons at the end and 4 rocket pods. That's because it's got the blue tip core upgrade. It basically makes it more powerful. So it's kind of a case of keeping your heroic units alive and keeping your units upgraded with the blue tip.
Okay. And as we can see, actually, blue tib not really doing anything, and players still capping that green tib, but they're not fighting for the blue tib as much. Is that just because they've purchased the majority, if not all, of their upgrades at this point?
Both. Well, I'm looking at some of the players now. I'm just taking a look at TwiiSTeD. He's got upgrade points in excess. He's basically bought everything he needs. If he were to change class at this point, then he could use it to support another class, but it looks like they've basically done all they can with the tib at this point.
So at this point, they're less interested in capping tib and more interested in that just classic destroying the other player CNC sort of action.
Pretty much, because in some games you'll see a completely one-sided, well, you'll see one team just go straight for the nodes and one team just go straight for the tib. Chances are the guys with the tib will win.
Yeah, it's kind of like a long-term reward versus short-term reward situation, where you're like, well, do I want to grab the tib and try and win it in the long run? You know, kind of like the turtle versus the hare, trying to go right for the nodes and do as much upfront point capping as possible.
Are you gonna rush them and try to take out their economy now, or are you gonna expand and build up your economy and then out-tech them and then completely destroy them?
Yeah, because I've seen games, I don't watch a whole lot of CNC4, but the few games that I have seen, in a couple of them, it's, you know, one team has a 1,000 point advantage or something, just a huge advantage, and you're like, ah, this is lame, it's in the bag, and then the other team just comes back out of nowhere with a tech advantage and just starts smashing everything for the win.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, some of these games can be one-sided, but I guess that's true with everything. Especially, well, I mean, I've played plenty of games with you in CNC3 where we did that Journey of the Noobs. I don't think we had a single balanced game in that, did we?
I don't think so.
No,
either
it was pretty much
not in the challenges or really. They were all pretty one-sided. I don't know. We might have had a couple of them that were pretty good.
We did a couple of good ones off camera, like the one I told. It was in Kane's Wrath. It was a 2v2. We nearly lost. He was like using mecha around the back of our bases, but I digress.
Yeah, I remember I got totally smashed in a couple of those games, but you know.
I saved you again. But yeah,
no. I was thinking of the one that I played versus Flame Draymond, and he totally smashed me.
I'm going to take a guess the score limit for this is 4,000 points, and at the moment GDI is in the lead. Is that true with yours?
Yes.
Again, there's a bit of a difference.
True, but Nod is now currently tied and ahead.
Yeah, there's a bit of like a 30-second delay, I think.
Yeah, for whatever reason, probably because I'm recording. But we are going to be seeing a pretty close game, and as Synapse brilliantly stated, yes, this is not a 2,000-point game. As you can see, both of these players at 2,500 points and still climbing. So we are going to probably be heading into 3,000 points for this game, or 4,000. Whatever you said a minute ago.
Which gives it a full chance to play out properly, because before the patch, it was just a straight-up 2,500 points, I think. And it pretty much was a case of one-sided won by the time you hit Tier 3, so it was pretty much Red Alert 3 all over again.
Mm-hmm. Although I've played a couple of Red Alert 3 games where I got to Tier 3 first and lost.
Yeah, so I've seen plenty of Red Alert 3 games with a certain technique using nothing but Peacekeepers at level 1, Tier 1 on Snowplow and winning games.
Yeah, that's never happened.
Back in the old days of Conquer Cup, whenever Technique was playing on Snowplow, I used to tune out because that's always what would happen. Peacekeeper versus Peacekeeper.
Well, you know, old times.
Yeah.
But anyways, lots of ion cannons firing, which would make me happy, but they're not really doing anything currently.
We're not seeing any Temple of Nods, I don't believe. Do you see any?
Not that I know of. I haven't been really looking for them.
I can't see any. The Nod Superweapon acts a little bit differently. You can't really see it beforehand. It's just a ginormous missile kind of explodes and leaves Tiberium damage behind, which is corrosive. So those green things, that means a unit's been corrosed. Is that a word? Probably not.
Okay, I don't think so. But like the green clouds and also green tinted units.
Yeah, it basically means they're getting gradual damage, and the orange ones too. It's basically like a status effect.
Okay. Well, that's cool. I did not know that, but now I do, because I've seen that a couple of times, and actually looking at some green GDI units right now.
Yeah.
So I guess they have that corrosive effect, and even the Nod team's still doing a pretty good job of recapping that blue Tiberium and staying on top of that, while the GDI team just kind of not really caring, letting it go to waste. I mean, at this point, like we said before, not as big of a deal.
They're just kind of being pushed back a little bit. You'd almost think they'd be changing classes and trying to change the attack up a bit.
Yeah, especially since they do have so many tech points. And as we can see, we are going to watch down in the bottom side, get some GDI and Nod facing off action, and ion cannon firing almost right on top of that Nod crawler. And ion cannons are a bit of a risk in that, not only for the reasons that we said before, but they do have a fairly high, 3,500 credits, and Nod has won. But anyways, as I was going to say, stuff takes a little bit longer to fire, and since everything is so mobile in CNC4, it makes a big difference, and it's, you know, you could fire it and then not hit anything at all.
Yeah, pretty much, but at the same time, if you use your EMP support powers, because support class do have an EMP strike, I believe, if you use that in combination with an ion cannon, you've got a really long-term EMP, and you can take out a crawler, which will knock someone out of the game for about 30 seconds. Which
just goes to show you that, hey, you know, communication is important.
Pretty much, this game is designed for teams, not solo play.
Yes, which is something that we all kind of figured out, or we all kind of learned in the beta, because I remember seeing like 5v5, and I was like, what? 5 players on teams?
This is heresy. But yeah, pretty much, if you played FPS games just randomly, then you won't like this game necessarily because you're used to playing solo.
Unless you play those darn Battlefield games.
Yeah, in which case, yeah, teamwork, overrated.
Teamwork.
Yeah,
whatever. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this cast, even if you do not like CNC4 very much, but I enjoyed it. I had fun. I'm pretty sure Synapse did as well. I was entertained. It was a pretty good game overall. Any final words?
If you're still here, congratulations.
You have won nothing. Make yourself a cookie and enjoy it. This is Sybert signing out.
You're a horrible person. Goodbye.